When myself and one of our conservators walked in the door, it was obvious immediately that we were looking at something incredibly special. I don't think I stopped sort of laughing for about 6 hours afterwards. It's a once-in-a-career identification. The Bacton altar cloth is an altar cloth that was used in the Church of St Faith's in Bacton for many centuries, but what it originally was is something quite different, which is a skirt panel dating from the late 16th century of the highest quality and the highest grade materials, suggesting royal provenance.
We were almost certain that the altar cloth would have been a gift from Elizabeth I to her favourite lady-in-waiting, Blanche Parry. Now, Blanche served Elizabeth for longer than any other lady, 57 years, until the time of her death in 1590. Elizabeth absolutely adored Blanche Parry. She was the benchmark by which she measured all of her other ladies because she expected the same level of devotion that Blanche showed. So Blanche basically gave her life to the Queen. She didn't marry, she didn't have children of her own, she just served Elizabeth. And so, of course, most other ladies at court fell short of this, and Elizabeth was disappointed with them. Blanche, she absolutely revered.
The way that we can identify it as a royal object is that it's a beautiful cream silk woven through with silver thread, so it's cloth of silver. This was reserved for the immediate members of the royal family. That in itself would make it a very important object. What sort of makes it an even more important object is the embroidery on it, which is a floreate pattern dating from the late 16th century, but it's wrought in coloured silks and silver thread and gold thread to the highest professional standard and design.
It was very significant to be given a dress by the Queen. It was a real sign of favour and preferment. These were highly valuable items. You know, they were cloth of silver, cloth of gold. They would cost the equivalent of a year's wages for an average labourer. So very, very expensive gifts. And it was also a very personal gift.
Most Tudor clothing is probably sort of upholstery now, somewhere, you know, in a stately home. However, this object was treated with reverence as a sacred object and turned into an altar cloth, and that is what's preserved it down the centuries.
This is the only known survivor of Elizabeth I's wardrobe. We have accessories, but we don't have any pieces of her dresses, so you can imagine how excited we are about this discovery.
Now that it's here with us at Historic Royal Palaces, our conservators have taken it out of its frame and frozen it, which sounds like an odd thing to do, but actually freezing objects helps to eradicate any pests. And there were in fact pests inside the frame, so we needed to do that to preserve it for future generations. And our conservators will now look into a programme of conservation.
So after our conservators have analysed it and made recommendations for the conservation of the altar cloth, we very much hope to be able to put it on display because I'm sure it's going to be of real interest to our visitors.